Today we used area models to find equivalent fractions. An area model is a model to compare two fractions or to draw a new fraction with the same value as the original. In our first model, I drew a square, and I'm going to divide the model in half. So now I have 1/2 on this side and 1/2 on this side. If I were to shade 1/2, and 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1 whole, the entire box. Now, if I were just to shade 1/2 of the box, this half, okay, that represents 1/2. Now, if I want to find an equivalent fraction, I'm going to slide over and make another square box. Okay, now in this square box, again, I'm going to cut it in half, so I have my original half, but now I'm also going to cut it in half this way. And now if you notice, I have 4 equal parts, and if I color in 2 of my 4 equal parts, that represents 2 out of the 4 are shaded, and those 2 out of the 4 is exactly the same as my 1/2 from the model previously, because this takes up 1/2 of the square. Now when you're doing this, now I know that the equivalent fractions, 1/2 is equal to 2/4, and my boxes show that. You cannot just draw boxes any way you want. I also know that when I look at 1/2 and 2/4, that 1/2 is half as many as 2/4, or 2/4 is twice as many, or 2 times as many parts as 1/2. So 2/4 is 2 times as many parts as 1/2. And doesn't that make sense? When we come back to our model, I have 2 parts here, and I only have 1 part here. Okay? I can also go the other way and say that 1/2 is half as many as 2/4. And that's the way we explain our fractions in relationship to each other, both in the numerator and the denominator. There's something else that you need to realize when you're looking at 1/2 and 2/4. If you notice, 2 and 4 in the denominator are multiples of each other. So if I multiplied the 2 in the denominator times 2, I would get the 4 in the second denominator. And whenever I multiply a factor by the denominator, I must use that same factor to multiply the numerator. And if I were to multiply 1 times 2, I would get the 2/4, as shown here. So in this problem now, I've multiplied 1/2 times the factor of 2 in both the numerator and the denominator, and I end up getting 2 times as many parts, which is equivalent to 2/4. So the two fractions are equal to each other.